What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Adobe Premiere Pro and how to get started with video editing. The first step when getting started with video editing is going to be organizing your files. So here I have a Finder window opened and I'm editing on a MacBook. If you're editing on Windows, it's going to be the same process. It's just going to look a little different. I tend to edit on external hard drives. So on the left here, you can see that I'm working in my drive that's labeled nav213. This is the drive that I'm going to be using for this entire project and future projects to come. The one above it is nav212. There's already content on there. And I just have it plugged in because there are some clips on there that I want to take to use for this video to show you how to transfer data and how to properly organize your clips. So here I have my new drive and I'm going to create a folder labeled projects. Projects. The reason I make a folder labeled projects is because I tend to put other stuff on my drives, whether it's music or personal stuff. I use my drives for almost everything that I do. So I like to have a designated folder specifically titled projects because I know everything that's in that folder is going to be something that I either am currently working on, need to work on, or did already work on. So I'm gonna go into the projects folder now. Now, the next step, once you're in your projects folder, is going to be labeling a new folder with the title of the project that you're working on. So for this instance, I'll label this new folder, how to use Premiere Pro. So that's what this folder is going to be called. Now, if I go into this folder, now, I know it seems like there's a lot of folders, but trust me, this is the best way to do it, or one of the best ways to do it. It's worked flawlessly for me over the years, and there's a method to the madness, as they say. So now I'm in my How to Use Premiere Pro folder. So that's the title of the project, and now inside this project folder, I'm going to create another folder called Adobe. So once I actually launch Premiere Pro, this is where I'm gonna save the file to. And when I actually do launch the program, I'll show you how I did that. Now that I have my Adobe folder set up, the next folder I'm going to create is going to be my clips folder. Now you can imagine what that folder is gonna be for. This is where all of the media and all of the footage is going to be going to. Once you copy it either off your camera SD card or from another drive or anywhere. Sometimes in the clips folder, I'll make another folder designated for like if I shoot with more than one camera, and I'll label them either A cam, B cam, C cam, or I'll put which camera was which. So like if I shot on my A7 III, I'll put A7 III, or if I have somebody else come with me and he's shooting on like a Blackmagic camera, or I use like my Sony A6300 or something, I'll label the folders by camera. Usually because when I'm on a shoot, each camera kind of has its own designated role. So I can kind of remember based off of that what each camera was doing, but you can label them whatever you want as long as there's some way to designate which camera has what kind of content on it. And for this, I'm only using footage from one camera. So just for the sake of it, I'm going to create another folder. I didn't have to. Sometimes if I'm using one camera, I'll just import everything into the clips folder. But for the sake of this video and an instructional piece that I'm gonna pull up very soon, I'm going to label this camera A, all right? So now that I have my camera A folder set up, we're going back. Now I'm back in the How to Use Premiere Pro projects folder. Now I have my Adobe folder, I have my clips folder. The next one I'm going to create is an assets folder. Now in this folder, I put everything. If I'm using a song specifically for a video, I'll put that in the assets folder. Any kind of graphic or any photos maybe that I'm using, and like it's not a crazy amount of photos, it's just something to put in there, I'll put it in the assets folder. And sometimes I put like, if I have behind the scenes clips, or if I have clips from like another project, I tend to put them in there too. But the assets folder is kind of variable in the sense of like no specific kind of projects file goes in there. It's just a separate folder for some of the small things that don't really need their own folders to be a part of this project, to be in this video. And I can kind of just throw them in the assets folder. So after you have the assets folder set up, we're going to create one more folder. This is the final folder that we're going to create, and it's going to be labeled exports. So you can imagine what this is, but if you can't, I'll tell you. So exports are going to be everything that you export or render out from Adobe Premiere Pro. All of your finished videos, they're going to go into this folder, your exports folder. Anything that comes out of Premiere that's already edited, it goes in here. Whether it's a rough cut or a final draft of a video, it's going to go in your exports folder. All right, so now that we have all of these folders set up, now we can actually start bringing footage into this folder or into its designated area. So over here on the left, I already have it opened, is a folder called A73. For one of the projects that I was working on, I had the A73 as the designated camera for this. So I'm just going to take, I don't think I need all the clips. Let's take a few clips and just drag them in. And I'm going to put them in the clips folder. And remember what I said earlier, if you're only using one camera, you can just put it in the clips folder, or if you're using multiple cameras, to have a designated folder for it. I'm going to put it in the camera A folder. Not that I need to, just because I want to kind of show you what happens when you drag a folder within a folder into Adobe Premiere. Going to launch Adobe Premiere Pro. So on the bottom of my screen, you can see I have here Adobe Premiere Pro is open. So we're gonna click it. I'm gonna let it launch. All right, so now that Adobe Premiere Pro is launched, I'm going to click on the folder that says New Project. So I'm opening the folder and, oh wait, before I do that, so now that I have this folder open, it says up top here, name of the project. We're going to label it How to Use Premiere Pro. Here you can see the location of the last project I shot. And to change the location of where this project is going to be saved, we're going to click on Browse. Now, here's where the important part comes in. So where we saved the Adobe folder to is where we're gonna save this project. So if I go into the drive that I was using, which was nav213, and I go into the projects folder, and then I go into the folder that says How to Use Premiere Pro, and I click the Adobe folder. So this is where Premiere Pro is going to save the project file to. Now, if I go into the Finder and you look inside, there's nothing in this folder. But as soon as I go to Premiere and I click OK, it launches, and right in the back here, you can see Adobe just created the new project file for our new project. So now that we see that, we'll go back here and we'll open Premiere Pro. All right, so just a quick overview of Premiere Pro. I'm not gonna go too much into it because there's really a lot and I could be here talking all day about it. This is just to show you how to get started with it. But really quickly, in here is a little learning tab up top. And there's like little instructional things. I've never used it because I already kind of knew how to use Premiere Pro when I started, and I was just kind of playing around with it, seeing what I could do and watching YouTube videos like this to get started in it. That's pretty much what the learning thing is. If you go to Assembly, this is an interesting workspace. So this workspace is just to kind of organize your stuff. So over here, you can see it says import media to start. If you double click that, it's gonna open up a Finder window and try and ask you what you want to import into the project. Over here are all the different types of tools that you use. Over here is your timeline, and up here is your source window. I'm going to explain a little bit more what each of these things do, but first let's continue going through these windows real quick, or workspaces actually. The actual technical term for these are workspaces. So this is the assembly workspace we just went through. If we go into our editing workspace, it looks kind of similar to the assembly workspace. Up here, we have another source window. So there's a slight difference between the source and the program window. The source window in the editing workspace is going to be raw clips that you click on, and the program window is going to be clips that appear on the timeline. And again, I'll explain those in a little bit. Just bear with me. Let's go through these really quick. These are your effect controls. These are markers. This is the history of what you did, info on certain clips, your media browser, audio mixer, and metadata on the clips. All right, all of this stuff, I'm kind of just running through it because you don't really need it in order to complete a project. But we'll go through a few more of them. This is your color workspace. This is how the color workspace looks. These are your effects, if it loads. And then you have audio, graphics, captions, and libraries. All right, so the main workspace I usually tend to use is solely my editing one. Unless I'm color grading or trying to do certain effects or certain graphics, I won't go into the other workspaces. But for the sake of keeping this video shorter, I'll show you what to do next. So up here, I have project, and this is our project window and the name of our project, which is how to use Premiere Pro. So if you look inside this folder or inside this window, it says import media to start. So if I go to the Finder, there's two ways to do this. I can either double click. If I'm in Premiere, I can double click and the window will pop up, or I can go straight from the Finder and I can go to where my clips are, and I can import my clips just by clicking and dragging. Now notice I didn't open the clips folder and try and find a specific clip. I'm copying everything. So when you copy a folder into Premiere Pro, it creates little files or preview files so you can play everything back in Premiere. But in case you noticed here, if you go into the clips, I have camera A, I have a number of clips. I look over here in Adobe, it says there's only one item inside this clips folder, or clips bin. That's a very common term, and you should know this term. A bin is a folder, or similar to a folder when you're using Premiere Pro and several other editing softwares. So if I open my clips bin, the camera A bin is in there. The camera A folder is in there, and it's made itself its own bin. That's because when you import a folder that has multiple folders within it, Adobe Premiere automatically makes those bins or folders for you in the editing program. So you don't even have to go through and reorganize all that again. Since we already did it in the stages of organizing our clips, everything is going to be exactly the same when you drag it into Premiere. And it's going to be so much easier when you go looking for something later on, because if you're trying to find it in your computer, you're going to be able to find it just by looking at the directory of the bins right in your editing software. So now that we have that set up, we're going to go into camera A, and you can see all the clips are here. So this is a project I was working on. I was testing out my new drone. I did a video unboxing it, and I'm hoping sometime soon this video will be released. But I'm just gonna show you one of the clips. So over here, if I press the arrow up button, it's gonna bring me one folder up. And now I'm back here. All right, so now that we're in Premiere, we're going to create another bin that's going to be called your sequence bin. Nope, sequence. Now, a sequence is where you're going to be editing your clips. A sequence allows you to organize them in whichever way you want, make them longer, shorter, slow them down, and you can create multiple sequences and tie multiple sequences together. But the whole purpose of them is just to edit your clips, essentially. So if I go and right click inside here, and then I click new item, sequence, I'm gonna create a new sequence. Don't worry about whatever these settings are. On the bottom, you can see here, it's labeled sequence 1. Going to click OK. Now going back to your clips bin and your camera A bin, I want to use, let's say, this clip, right? So also, I should say, you'll notice down here now it says sequence 1, and you can see all these tracks down here on our timeline. So now we have an actual timeline and we have a sequence to work with. This is a shot of my friend John's car, and we were filming it in the mixture of another video that we were working on. But if you just click on it and you hit play, now you see that in our source window, we have something. And what we have here is the raw clip. So remember, we went back here, we opened this clip, we double clicked it, and it automatically popped up in the source window. So now in order for it to pop up on the program window, which now you see it didn't say anything before, but now it says program sequence 1. So everything that plays on the right screen here is going to be what's on our timeline. Let's say I want the clip from this portion here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press I on my keyboard to set an in point. This is where the clip is going to start. And then let's say I want the clip to end there. I'm going to select an out point. That's where the clip is going to end. So now when I drag this clip onto the timeline, it's going to only drag what I selected from the in point and out point. All right, so let's drag this down here. Now over here, I have drag video only and drag audio only option. I don't want to drag either or, I want to drag both. So I'm going to take the clip, I'm gonna press on the middle of it, and it's going to let me drag it onto the timeline. Now, this little window that pops up, it's asking me, it says clip mismatch warning. This clip does not match the sequence's settings. Do you want to change sequence to match the clip settings? I have it set to always ask, and I want to change the sequence settings because earlier we didn't select what those settings were going to be, but since I dragged a clip that didn't match the settings of the sequence, it asked me if I wanted to change it, which I do want to change it because I want the settings to match. All right, so now that I have this clip here, if I wanted to continue editing and, I don't know, maybe select another clip, let's say I wanted this to be connected with this, then I would just drag that there. And I want them both to be on the same track. So I have these two clips together. And now when you're editing, you can create whatever clips you want to mesh together. I'm just throwing these two clips together to show you how Adobe Premiere Pro works. So now that I have this set up, I'm going to create a random in and out point. So I'm gonna have one right here, and I'm going to make another one right here. Now you'll notice these in and out points aren't selected on the entire sequence. They're only selected within this small portion. And I'm gonna show you why I did this. So if I go now to File and Export, go to Media, or I could have just pressed Command M or Control M if you're on Windows. This is how you take an edit and make it an actual video file. So here I have my in and out point selected. You can see on the bottom left over here. This is the export window. This is where you change the settings and set everything up to how you want it to be. So down here you can see this little blue line. What I have selected is what's going to be exported. Down here it says source range. That's how you change what it is you want to be exported. So you can do entire sequence. Now you see the blue line changed and it's showing me the entire sequence. You can do custom, and you can drag to certain portions. You can do work area, which it'll just do the selected work area and it'll pretty much export everything. And then sequence in to out is what I want selected because I selected that certain section that I wanted to be exported. So we're gonna do sequence in to out. And then over here, you see where it says output name? The title of the sequence is what's here, so sequence 1. And when you click on it, not only does it allow you to change the name of the file that you're gonna be exporting, but it's going to also allow you to choose where you want to save it to. So if I click on it, it shows where I previously exported, but let's go back now here to our drives and click on projects, how to use Premiere Pro, and click on exports. So this is remember, this is our exports folder. Anything that comes out of Premiere Pro is going to go into this folder. And for the sake of it and for your purposes, it's always good to label, if let's say if you have a rough cut, I don't know, label it like rough cut 1 or something like that. Or if you have a finished project, you could put final edit. I'm going to label this first export Premiere Pro test and click save. So now that that's saved, we're going to go over. Now, there are a whole bunch of different codecs or encoding formats, as you can see labeled here. Pretty much different file types work with different types of things. H.264 is the most popular format, and you can use that on YouTube, you can use it on Android, iPhones. So usually when I'm exporting, I tend to primarily use H.264, but there are a whole bunch of other codecs in here if you wanted to use them, but we won't go over that. And then since I'm putting this on YouTube, or since I'm going to be using this for YouTube, I'll set it to YouTube 1080p Full HD. You could also set it to YouTube 2164K, but for me, I like to use 1080 Full HD. And then to get the best quality out of it, I always do maximum render quality. So now that that's set up, all you do is click export. And just like that, on the bottom here, you see that it says your video was exported successfully. So now if I go back to the Finder window and I go into the exports folder, you can see right here is the final export. And that's pretty much it. You know, I didn't want to go too crazy. The whole purpose of today's video was just to show you how to get started with Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, everything else is just going to be practice. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, and the better your workflow will be, and the more understanding you'll have of the program itself. When I first started working with this particular program, Adobe Premiere, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I told myself I would do this big project that I had planned out, and I'll use that project to learn how to use Premiere. And that project wound up taking a lot longer than it was supposed to because I didn't know how to use Premiere. And it wasn't until I started doing smaller video projects and messing with Premiere more and trying to implement something new to every single Premiere project that I was working on that I was actually able to pick up how to use Premiere. And now I know this program like the back of my hand. So the best advice I can give is take the information I just gave you, start rolling with it, start shooting projects, make sure your footage is organized, and just play with Premiere. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and that's really all there is to it. So that's gonna be it. Don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button because it really helps. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm always happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.